Portland. Please don't be Portland. At 6.
Yeah! Let's go! Come on, baby! Come on!
Come on, baby! At 5! At 5! Let's go! Portland's top 4, baby! It was Detroit at 5! It was Detroit at 5! Here we go. 4th pick. Please no Portland.
Yeah!
Let's go! No Portland! No Portland! No Portland! No!
San Antonio got it. Darn it.
With the 3rd pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Scoot Henderson from Marietta, Georgia, in the NBA
All right.
G League's Team Ignite.
Key news from the NBA, Damian Lillard from Portland to Milwaukee. Woj, give us the details and all the players involved in this trade.
Jay, blockbuster deal that lands the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, All-NBA guard Damian Lillard. It's a 3-team trade that brings Lillard to the Bucks. And Portland got a tremendous haul back, including DeAndre Ayton, Drew Holiday, an unprotected 2029 Milwaukee first-round pick, Yusuf Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, go to a Suns team that was ready to move on from Ayton.
Now the Blazers enter their first offseason in the post-Damian Lillard era, marking the first time this organization has had expectations of a rebuild in more than a decade. The storylines have shifted from building around Dame to varying questions that now surround the franchise. Which guards should they keep long-term? Should Chauncey Billups stay as head coach? Should Joe Cronin trade the veterans? But maybe, most importantly, who are the next talented young prospects the Blazers will add through the 2024 NBA Draft? While this draft has been panned as being the weakest incoming crop of NBA players in years, Joe Cronin views it as an opportunity, and armed with 2 potential lottery picks, the Blazers are in position to capitalize in ways that could alter the franchise for years to come. A little luck goes a long way, and last year, the Blazers were lucky. Until they weren't. In the end, the Blazers were 1 number combination away from a generational talent in Victor Wembanyama that would have kept Damian Lillard in Portland and likely led to a championship in the next decade. Instead, they got Damian Lillard's replacement, and that of course was Scoot Henderson, who had an up and down rookie year, but is primed for a step forward next season alongside the Blazers' next lottery pick. The Blazers were terrible this year, which is always nice when the lottery comes around. Winning only 21 games, Portland tied their 2nd worst record in franchise history. The last time they won 21 games was 2006, and the following draft netted Portland 2 future All-Stars in Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge. And the last time the Blazers had 2 lottery picks was 2012, and we know how that draft went. Portland should have a similar opportunity this year, owning the Golden State Warriors' 14th overall pick. The Warriors pick has a 3.6% chance of moving into the top 4, at which point the Warriors would keep it and owe Portland a top 1 protected 2025 first round pick. This may not be a bad thing considering next year's draft is much deeper, and there's already been speculation that the Blazers will ultimately trade this pick if they land it. But all eyes will be on Portland's own pick after the Blazers all but maximize their lottery odds. After holding serve at 5th in the tank race for the second half of the season, The final days of the season saw the Spurs win their final couple of games to reach 22 wins on the year, and the Hornets win their final game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who seemingly lost on purpose to manipulate their playoff seeding. This moved Portland into a tie with the Charlotte Hornets for third best odds, which gives Portland a greater than 50% chance of hearing their lottery number called once again, and a 13.2% chance at the number 1 overall pick. Should Portland get a top draft pick, they could try their hand with a different French big man than the one they dreamed about a year ago. And while getting the number 1 overall pick can sometimes prove unlucky, controlling your own destiny is always a dream for every team that'll be featured on that draft lottery stage. The fallout of this draft lottery will result in debates about which prospects to consider with the resulting draft pick, especially in this year's draft that lacks consensus. But the fallout will certainly be franchise-altering. We've seen that numerous times before. So that begs the question, where will the Blazers land?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the 2024 NBA Draft Lottery. Today we get to see where the Blazers will make their selection in the 2024 NBA Draft. Unfortunately, we were not able to get a live watch party going, but it should be fun nonetheless, assuming the Blazers move into the top 4. We got graphics there on the left. I got Eric there on my right. Eric, how's it going, man?
I don't know how I'm feeling right now. I just want to know where we're picking, but I'm glad this day is finally here. It sucks that it's early in the morning on Mother's Day, but other than that, good to get this over with. To me, this is the official kickoff of the off season, right? Mm-hmm. You know, when you're picking, then trades can start happening. I mean, they could have happened technically prior to this point, but no one really makes trades prior to knowing what pick they actually have. So this is the beginning of what is going to be a fascinating offseason for the Blazers.
Yeah, lots of storylines that we'll get into after this lottery. I'm going to drop a video talking about those storylines. One of the main storylines is, of course, who the Blazers are going to draft, whether that be with their own pick, whether that be with the Golden State pick, whether or not they trade the Golden State pick. Hopefully, in terms of the cards that are revealed, at least, you know, if you want Blazers to have 2 lottery picks this year, hopefully the Blazers are called first and last, because you got Portland there at 14 with the pick via Golden State, and then you got Portland's own lottery pick, which has a 50% chance at the top 4 and a 13.2% chance at the number 1 overall pick. Best lottery odds I've ever seen this team have, because I didn't really pay attention back in 2006. Of course, the Blazers won it in 2007 when they had much worse odds than they do today. So, of course, just fingers crossed. I got the wood for Wemby somewhere around here. It just kind of floats around my room. A lost dream, but, you know, hopefully we can start some new dreams today. And I'm not nervous for this lottery anywhere near like I was last year, Eric. And we've talked about prospects all year. We both want Alex Sarr number 1 overall. We are worried that if the Blazers get the 2nd or 3rd pick and they don't get Alex Sarr, who they might draft, because we've seen some Klingon love in that range. We've seen some Ricochet love in that range. And it's not that we're necessarily against a guy like Donovan Klingon, just we feel like that's a little too high. So if the Blazers end up 6th, and Klingon and Ricochet go off the board before then, it might be a good thing in our opinions. Of course, that is just based on our own opinions of prospects. Me and Eric try and do our best in terms of scouting. At the end of the day, you get some right, you get some wrong when you're trying to scout prospects, just like NBA front offices get some right and get some wrong. As an organization, of course, though, all you wish for is the opportunity to choose who you want in this year's draft. And yeah, we'll do a final Tankathon sim here in a few minutes. Chat, feel free to ask any questions or leave any comments in the live chat that we have going on here. I will play the audio out loud over the phone. Eric is streaming it through Discord, so we're going to try that setup today. The one time we did a draft lottery when the Blazers got the 7th pick to take Shaedon Sharpe, I remember I saw Eric's reaction before I saw the pick, so hopefully we'll be synced up as well. And you guys, we won't be watching chat when picks are revealed. We don't want to get spoiled. So just be ready for that. Shout out to Brian Tadovich, $5 donation, says, for SAR. Thank you for the $5 for SAR. Appreciate it. Chat, I'm going to leave a chat poll. And I want to know who you would take number 1, assuming the Blazers got the number 1 pick.
All right, and Gray Hughes is asking, what are the odds of the 14th pick moving up? Wouldn't that be crazy if that pick got in the top 3? It'd actually be the top 4 that they pull for now, but it's 3.6%, so very, very unlikely. But yeah, they have the worst odds of any team moving into the top 4, obviously, as the 14th pick. So yeah, I mean, it would certainly make for a fascinating, next year of coverage of the Blazers following that pick for another whole season like we did with it this season. But in terms of just this offseason, it makes it a lot less interesting because obviously we'd only have 1 pick, and then our pick is more likely to not be in the top 4 if they move up. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Ideal scenario, maybe we get the number 1 pick and Warriors get 4 or something like Jonathan Evers said in chat earlier. But the chances of that happening are very, very minute.
Yeah, and once again, just like we've explained in previous years, the more teams below Portland that jump up into the top 4, the less likely it is that Portland's top 4 because those teams get a top 4 spot. So, if 4 teams below Portland jump up into the top 4, then that automatically means Portland is not top 4. We do have the projected order there on the left. That is the order that things should go in. So when you see a team logo come up that's different, that means that a team has moved up, and me and Eric will discuss that as the lottery selections are revealed, and then we'll have the top 4 down bottom, same graphics package as last year. I also asked you a poll, who would you take number 1? And instead of putting other names, I just put Alex Sarr versus the field. And 91% of you would take Alex Sarr number 1. Eric, why would you take Alex Sarr number 1?
Well, first of all, I think this is 100% agreement from us, right? There's no other option. Like, we don't even think or discuss another person at 1, right?
Correct.
All right. So it's kind of weird being, I mean, obviously Wemby won last year. We would have been completely in lockstep with there as well. But yeah, with the draft the way it is, to be that 100% locked in on one person might seem a little strange to people. But in my opinion, the way the NBA is going, it started with Evan Mobley a couple years ago. Then you get Chet and Wemby this year. Technically, Chet was 2 years ago, but he was hurt his whole first year. When you have a 7-foot-ish player who can move like a guard, it is a game changer, and you will need those players to compete with the teams that already have that player in place. And I'm not saying Sarr is for sure going to be one of those type of players, but all you have to do is watch him play. Don't look at the stats. Don't look at his shooting percentages or anything like that, because if you do, I can make the argument Wemby didn't shoot well either. He shot 47% from his field the last year in France. He shot 27.5% from 3. Sarr shot 52% from the field, 29% from 3 or something like that. It doesn't necessarily translate. And with Sarr, it's such a small sample size. It's like 47 3-point attempts. He makes a couple more of those or misses a couple more of those, and it completely changes his whole percentages. And we're talking about him like a sniper if he just hits 3 more, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really I don't really look at that. I watch him play, and this dude is unreal. He can dribble the ball at 7 feet. He can grab a rebound, take it up the floor. He can take it all the way to the basket, create his own shot. He can shoot the ball a little bit. His form looks really good. It's maybe a little flat on, maybe needs to get a little more arc on it. But other than that, I have no doubts that he'll be able to become a good shooter in the NBA if he works on it. He doesn't really have to change a ton to his shot to get to that point, in my opinion. And his ability to see the floor, to dribble at that size, can be used as a weapon in the league nowadays. And that's just on offense, and that's stuff that people talk about as a liability right now for him. I don't see it at all. I see it as something you can use to completely change your offense. And then you get to the defensive side of the ball. This guy can stay in front of guards. I mean, obviously, there's some guards that no one can stay in front of in the entire NBA. But for the most part, I have no doubt he'll be a switchable big. And that is a game changer. Think Bam Adebayo, like that type of defensive skill set, while also being a rim protector, good timing on block shots, all that kind of stuff. Like the combination of offensive upside to potentially be a star on offense. Who knows if he'll get there, but at the very, very least with Alex Sarr, you have a defensive stud that will completely change the way you can scheme a defense and how you can play the other players around him and all that kind of stuff. And I believe that is exactly what Portland needs right now, not only to fix some of their problems, but for all the upcoming problems with OKC and San Antonio over the next decade.
Yeah, pretty well said, 100%, man. And the Blazers need some size. They've done the guard thing for a while, and being able to get that power forward / center that can play either position, defend either position, and has offensive upside is clearly, in my opinion, the best choice in a draft that lacks upside, in a draft that lacks some top-end talent. But even if Portland doesn't get the number 1 pick, there's maybe still a chance they could get him because he's not set in stone as the number 1 pick yet. We've heard some Zachary Ricochet. We've even heard some Donovan Clingan, which I think would be hilarious. Hopefully Portland wouldn't be the team that would take Donovan Clingan number 1 over Alex Sarr. I think that would be a massive mistake. We've heard a little bit of Nikola Topic as well. If San Antonio's number 1, maybe they are a team that would take a chance on him because they need somebody to feed Wemby. So if Portland gets 2, maybe they still have a chance depending on who is 1. Last year, of course, the Blazers got 3, and all season long, Scoot Henderson was a bit of a consensus number 2 overall pick. But then Charlotte jumps up into the second spot ahead of Portland and elects to take Brandon Miller. And so far, that looks like it's working out. I think the jury is still out. I'm super excited for what Scoot can do in year 2. And for the 3-guard experiment as well, having a defensive big that can play the 4 next to a guy like Ayton and really lock down that paint is good for that experiment. So that is my hope as well. We got 5 minutes until things start, which means, Eric, we got to do our final Tankathon simulation.
While you're setting that up?
It's already set up. We here.
Okay.
But go ahead.
I just want to say, because if we do get the number 1 pick and don't take Alex Sarr, you and I are going to rage.
Yep.
And everyone's going to call us negative and all that kind of stuff. We're saying it right now, May 12th. We will be happy if we take Alex Sarr. We will not be happy if we take anyone else. So that's the
Set the precedent.
Don't try to say hindsight or whatever. We just want to be negative, or we're looking for views, and so we're trying to be negative for views. All that is crap. Like we want Alex Sarr. We'll be happy. We'll praise the pick if it's Sarr. We will be pissed if it's anyone else. That's just how it'll be.
Yeah.
If we get.
Yeah, if we pass on Sarr, obviously, yeah. You know, if he's off the board, nothing you can do. But we have a lot of draft content and big boards and all sorts of stuff that sets the precedent for who we want in the draft and who we think the Blazers should shy away from. Now, of course, there is people that do this for a living, and we're just some YouTubers. So truly, what do we know? Right, but we do have our opinions, and we do try and put in the work to understand these prospects. And I will say we have an okay track record considering we're just a couple of YouTubers. With that being said, let's do this Tankathon Sim. Final Tankathon simulation of the season. Of course, the order has already been determined in the past hour, but for good old time's sake, we've been doing this all season long. One final Tankathon Sim. This is officially the last Tankathon Sim of the 2023-2024 season. At 14, you got the Portland Trail Blazers. At 13, you got the Sacramento Kings. At 12, you got the Chicago Bulls. So already some chaos. Eric, OKC's pick to Houston moves up into the top 4. Right.
Houston to OKC, right?
Houston to OKC, my bad.
So
yes.
Houston keeps it instead of losing it.
Yeah, so Houston's pick to OKC is top 4 protected. You got some traded picks in this draft lottery, which should make it even more chaotic. So Houston keeps it. They also have a unprotected pick from Brooklyn. At 11 is Atlanta. At 10 is Houston via Brooklyn. There's the unprotected pick. At 9 is Utah. At 8 is Memphis. At 7 is the San Antonio Spurs, which means your Portland Trail Blazers should be next as the Toronto Raptors move into the top 4. At 6 is your Portland Trail Blazers, unfortunately. At 5 is the Detroit Pistons, because they always get 5th. And Portland doesn't get lucky, but as long as they get lucky here in about 5 minutes, I'm all good with that. At 4 is Houston. Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say 6 and 14 is, if you're just looking at pick percentages, is the most likely outcome.
Yep. At 3 is Charlotte. At 2 is Washington, which means the Toronto Raptors win our final Tankathon off-season simulation. Here are the pick odds, also available at tankathon.com. The Blazers' most likely pick is 6th, but it's like more than twice as likely for Portland to be top 4 than to get 6th, right? The odds are pretty evenly dispersed here amongst the top 4. But if Portland doesn't get top 4, then the order is set by standings of the remaining teams, 5 to 14, which is why Portland can't fall further than 8th, because they only pick the top 4 teams, and that would bump Portland down 4 spots. They lost a coin flip with Charlotte, unfortunately, but there's only a 21% chance or so of that even mattering, because the only way that would matter is if both Portland and Charlotte fall out of the top 4. If one of those teams is top 4, then that coin flip is basically irrelevant in the first round. Anyway, Eric, I think we're ready. I think we're good.
Yeah. We had Alvy gift a Blazers Uprise membership, and Taylor Packer got it.
Taylor Packer again.
Yes.
That's
and then
crazy.
we have Gray Hughes Investigates with a $10 donation. We need SAR, but if we get picked 2 or 3 with other teams, perhaps pass. Well, the other teams perhaps pass on him because of their need.
That is always a possibility. It's tough to say without knowing who those teams are, and that's why I'm excited just to find out what this lottery is. The team ahead of Portland matters. We saw that play out last year with Charlotte being ahead of Portland and not wanting to take a guard. Maybe other teams would have taken Brandon Miller last year too. I'm not sure, but definitely have to pay attention to who moves up and who is where. The last couple of lottery streams as well, we didn't have much chaos. Portland was the first team to move down in 2022 when they fell from 6 to 7 as Sacramento moved up. And then you had last year, it was chalk all the way to 5, and then Detroit fell.
Yep.
All right, Eric, I got to pull up this stream.
All right, it's noon. Here we go.
Yeah, they're going to introduce everybody, so picks are not going to be revealed right this second.
And Scoot Henderson is the representative for Portland. Hopefully he brings us good luck.
Shout out to Alvaro, member for 8 months, says, get the stream to 100 likes, and I'll drop another gift. Chat, you heard the man. Get the stream to 100 likes, he'll gift another membership. Shout out to Alvaro. Easiest way to support the channel is by hitting that like button. We're at 72. Let's get it to 100. I just saw somebody unlike the stream. Very rude.
Are you gonna? You said you're gonna be playing the sound.
Yeah, might as well, right? Chat, you want sound?
Yeah. All right. People are asking.
Yeah.
when the picks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like, let me see if the sound is... Because the stream is definitely choppy. But the sound is fine. Yeah, the sound is fine. So I'll be able to do that. This stream is, like 10 FPS, which is good enough. Good enough. Shout out to Alvaro. We got to 100 likes. Thank you, guys. He gives some membership. Garben gets it. Shout out to Garben. Thank you, Alvaro, for gifting the membership. We got Rob Dillingham here. We got Alex R here. He's smiling.
Combine also starts. So measurement should happen sometime in the next few days. Probably tomorrow we'll start to see some of them.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
They're showing Ricochet's highlights on the screen and with the tag #1 prospect on Jonathan Gavoni's best available list.
Yeah, in case you guys haven't been paying attention to our draft talk, neither of us are fans on Ricochet. I'm even lower than Eric. Right now I have him 14th on my big board. I don't view him as a top prospect in the same way that Jonathan Gavoni does. And I'm simply hoping that Mike Schmitz doesn't agree with his former coworker, Draft Express. I am not a Ricochet fan like that. Just don't think he has much off the dribble juice. And I do have questions about his shot, and that's like the only thing I feel like he does well at the NBA, unless he puts in a lot of work somewhere else. So not as high on him as I am some other guys as well.
But Gavoni was, back in January of last year, he started to say that teams had Miller above Scoot on their boards and that he moved Miller up to 2. So he does, I think, base this on some intel. I don't think it's necessarily from Schmitz or anything, but he is getting some info from teams to base him. I don't think he just puts like Klingon in the top 3 and Ricochet at 1 if there's not actual substance to that.
Yeah, so the traded picks, Golden State to Portland, only top 4 protected, so Golden State would have to move up to keep it. Houston to OKC, top 4 protected, so same thing there with Houston. Utah has a pick that's owed to OKC if it's 11 or lower. That would require them falling 3 spots, which is extremely, extremely unlikely. And then Toronto loses a pick to San Antonio if they're not top 6, and if you look at the left, they're projected to be 6th. So if any team below Toronto moves up, then San Antonio gets that pick starting at 7. And then, of course, you got the Rockets pick at 9. That is via Brooklyn. That is unprotected, so we don't even have to worry about any protections with that trade. Which leaves you with 4 potential teams with 2 lottery picks. One is the Thunder, which is extremely unlikely, but the other 3 are possible. The Rockets pick from at 12 would have to move up to 4. The Blazers, I think, are maybe the most likely team to get 2 lottery picks because that pick at 14 has approximately a 96.4% chance it's staying at 14, I believe, if I recall correctly. So, looking forward to the possibility of having 2 lottery picks after we were robbed of 2 lottery picks a couple years ago, Eric.
Yeah, for sure. Oplas, how will we know if you move into the top 3? Well, it's top 4 they pick for, and also it kind of depends on how it goes. So if it holds chalk through to the 4th pick, then we're obviously top 4. But
yeah,
it matters what happens between 14 and 4. So, like, we just did that sim, and San Antonio was 7th, which meant that Portland would be 6th if they didn't move in the top 4. So then we'd know at the 6th pick, for example, in that particular sim, whether we moved up or not. So it matters what happens. So there's no way to know until we get into it here.
Yep, we don't want teams below Portland to move up, and then once we get into the 5 to 7 range, we really want to see Detroit, Washington, or Charlotte because that automatically means Portland moves up. Isaac L, $5 donation. Thank you. Appreciate it. Shout out to Brian Tadovich, $2 donation. Says, if we fall, would you guys take Rob Dillingham? That conversation is tough. If the Blazers fall to 6 or 7 and they take Rob Dillingham, I know Blazer fans will hate it, but is Portland really in position to draft for fit right now? It's really tough. If they do draft Rob Dillingham, then I think you kind of have to trade one of the guards. I don't really know how else you'd make that work. There is definitely some tough parts of that to figure out, but he is a top 5 prospect easily, in my opinion, one of the highest upside guys in this class. So I don't know. It'd be fascinating to see them try to figure out how to make that work. I just don't know if they're in position to draft for fit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're all hoping not to have that decision, right? We don't want a guard. We have 3 guards. Like you said, we could trade 1 or 2 of them, and that could change the thing. But I don't think we're going to do that. So,
when does the draft lottery start? I don't know, man. They're taking their sweet time, Eric. How long did it take last year? I forget.
I feel like it was about 15, 20 minutes in before they started. And then with Tejan Salon, his team made the playoffs. They won their game to make it into the playoffs, and so he will not be at the combine. But with the new rules this year, even if you miss the combine, you have to get officially measured. I forget what date it's by, but there will be official measurements at some point, just not, unfortunately, this week for Tejan Salon.
And I love that they're making it a requirement for these prospects to get measured.
Yes.
I think that's a great thing. That's one of the best decisions the NBA has made in a while. So looking forward to measurements this year, especially given the lack of consensus. Big boards, I think, will be swayed more by measurements than any year I've seen. And there's multiple guys with question marks about their listed height. Ron Holland, for example, listed at 6'8", but I truly believe he's 6'6". I went and watched him in person. Guys like, Dalton Knecht, Jalen Tyson, some of those wings that might be 6'5". Tyson's listed at 6'7", Knecht's 6'6". Those measurements are going to matter. And then a guy like Stephon Castle, can he play the 3 in the NBA? That makes him a viable pick for the Blazers. And honestly, Eric, if Stephon Castle has legit small forward size, you could probably talk me into him being my second preferred prospect after Alex Sarr for the Portland Trail Blazers, just because of what he can do defensively. And if he can develop that shot, which I think he can, then he does have some sneaky upside while being a glue guy, while being a very high floor role player. So Castle has been slowly creeping up my board the past couple of months, and I'm really looking forward to seeing his measurements. If he's 6'4", I'm going to be bummed. I'm hoping he's 6'6", Eric. I'm hoping he's has legitimate small forward size. He's one of those guys that can compete, though. Like, you can't just look at height. Look at Josh Hart playing small forward in the playoffs and playing 48 minutes, and look at what the Knicks are doing, right? You have some guys that are a little undersized but make up for it with hustle and heart and all that stuff, and Castle has that, and that's why I like him so much. So always have to take context into account with measurements. Speaking of Castle, he's talking on ESPN right now. You always got to take context into account, but we will go over each measurement and how it affects certain prospects' draft range. We'll have a live stream tomorrow night, going live approximately 9:30 Pacific time, 12:30 a.m. Eastern, to talk about any measurements that are revealed between now and then.
Yeah, we have live shows every Monday and Thursday, in case you don't know. Obviously, between today and the draft on June 26th, will be every show Monday and Thursday will be at least talking parts of those show about the draft, about prospects, about picks, doing mock drafts, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested at all in prospects or just talking Blazers and stuff like that, make sure you tune into those shows on Monday and Thursday evenings.
Yep. Did we thank Carson's member message?
We did not. I was just about to get to that one.
Shout out to PDX Paper Maker, member for 23 months. Says, get that #1 pick. Love y'all. Happy Mom's Day. Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Apologies if you have a son or husband that isn't giving the attention right now because they're paying attention to the draft lottery, maybe watching the stream at Mother's Day lunch. I don't know. But yeah, I don't understand the NBA putting this lottery on Mother's Day. But we're here, and for Eric, it was a little more convenient for it to be at noon. For me, it was a little bit more convenient for it to be at noon. So yeah, a little weird this year. They're doing it earlier than normal. Normally they do it before the start of the conference finals, and normally they do it in the evening. Today, of course, it's 12 p.m. Pacific time, and we're finally to the point where the representatives walk onto the stage. Scoot Henderson representing the Portland Trail Blazers. Did I just see Steph Curry?
No, Curry's not there.
Yeah, who was that? That guy kind of looked like Steph Curry from the side.
I don't know, it's dark. Pods is the Golden State representative, I think.
Yeah. Like 96% chance he's there for absolutely no reason. Shout out to Joseph Fred, who gifted 5 Blazers Uprise memberships. Thank you, Joseph. The winners of them, AJ Poseidon. AJ gets gifted a membership. Max Fawcett, Arcades, Hawaiian Brian, and SXKJX as well. Thank you to Joseph for gifting the memberships, and congratulations to you if you won one.
Yeah, thanks, man. BJ got a membership. He's not even talking.
Yeah. At least he's in here, though. Man, I forget how much they milk the lottery before it starts.
At least it's only 30 minutes instead of an hour.
My goodness. We're almost halfway through that 30-minute window. They haven't even announced the representatives yet.
Yeah.
Wait, so they announced the representatives and then they revealed the 5 to 14, correct? That's how it's done?
Yep.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that only takes a minute, you know?
Yeah, true. So this should be the last commercial until we get the ball rolling here. I'm more nervous just because of how long this taken, man. The anticipation building like that is a little stressful. I need more Chipotle commercials, yeah. Once we get back from commercial, I don't know. When do we turn off chat, Eric?
I'll just click on the stream as soon as the picks start getting announced.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. Don't spoil anything until picks start getting announced. Then you can react however you want in the chat, because I'll play the picks out loud. You can't turn off chat. I have to turn off chat. I don't want to get spoiled. I want a natural reaction.
Do you know who knows the order right now?
One Sean Hyken.
Yeah, Sean Hyken knows.
Why turn off chat? That's kind of dumb. No, like, you guys can still chat. We just are, like, not going to look at chat when the picks are getting revealed. Just so we don't get spoiled, because there's probably some of you out there that are watching this on your TV that are ahead of us. So, yeah. No, you guys can still talk in chat. I just, you know, trying to avoid the spoilers.
Basically, we're just not going to read chat while the picks get revealed, so you get our natural reactions and stuff. And then as soon as the picks are revealed, we'll be right back here to talk to you guys. And, yeah, we'll all either celebrate or be bummed together.
Seeing a point guard warm up in a yellow warm up before the lottery, normally I'm used to that being Steph, you know, warming up before the lottery. So many clips like that. But instead, it's Tyrese Halliburton right now.
Is he going to play?
I don't know. Better. Sorry I didn't queue up Jeopardy theme music either. I would have. Tyler James says, I feel really confident. All right, quick little chat poll. How confident are you feeling from 1 to 4. 4 is the most confident. 3, 2, 1 is the least confident. Eric, where are you on that scale? 1 to 4, how confident are you?
To get number 1?
Just in
Or,
the lottery that we're about to see.
I mean, I'm about as neutral as you can get because it's literally 50-50, right? So I don't know, man. I don't have confidence either way.
I'm at a 2. I'm at a 2. Last year we moved up, so this year I feel like we're not going to. Chat is a little more 2. Basically, we're just testing if you guys are optimists or pessimists.
Peter Holland says turning off because y'all are behind, question mark. Okay, so here's what happens. Okay, we're synced up. We're good. Undoubtedly, there is someone that has some crazy stream that finds out a minute before everyone else and then starts saying stuff in chat. Or the opposite, someone who's not even paying attention, not even watching, will just be like, Blazers got 4, blah, blah, blah. Like, doesn't even know, just trolling in chat. So I think we can all agree we want to see both Tori and my reactions live as it happens all together at the same time, not like, oh, one of us found out.
Yeah.
Or I saw we got 4. Is it going to be 4? Oh, yep, that person was right. Oh, bummer. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
We're not turning off chat. We're just not going to look at it for a few minutes, okay?
Look at Scoot, man.
Where's the goggles, though? Come on, man. The goggles were supposed to bring good luck.
No goggles for Scoot. That would have been kind of corny, though. They showed up in goggles, man, to the draft lottery. We got people hating on Scoot's fits. What's wrong with that suit? We got a lot of player representatives this year, too, Eric.
Yeah.
More so than I've ever seen.
Why is Julian Phillips there?
Yeah, I don't know. That's funny.
That was a weird one.
Asar is there, but is a men there?
Yeah.
Why didn't a men show up, man? If Asar showed up. You don't F with the jorts. Alright. Alright, Eric, here we go.
Come on.
Can you hear it through the mic all right? I can't read chat. This should be Portland. There's Portland.
Right.
There's Chauncey. Sacramento at 13. Twelfth pick is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Good so far.
Here are the nerves, Eric. Here are the good old nerves that we're still not used to.
Chicago.
11
hopefully.
should be Chicago, and it is Chicago. So far it's chalk. That's good news. 10, Atlanta.
No.
Atlanta and Houston moves up into the top 4.
Atlanta and Houston. 2 teams. Crap. No. No. Oh my gosh.
Memphis.
This is bad.
Oh, this is very bad. My graphics can't even keep up. 8 is the Spurs via
got
Toronto.
The Raptors. Oh, wow.
So Portland
So
should
we're
be
gonna
at
be
6.
7. No,
I don't know what happened to my graphics.
We should be 7.
Oh, no. That's from Toronto.
Oh, right.
This should be Spurs. It could be Portland, though.
Oh.
Oh, Portland's at 7. We got
7 and 14.
screwed. We got screwed.
Hornets got
All
screwed,
that
too.
tanking for what? I'm disgusted. Detroit's at 5 again. I don't know what the hell just happened. You got Atlanta, Houston, San Antonio, and Washington. Alrighty, well.
Oh.
Brutal. I don't know what happened to the graphics, bro.
Dude, the,
Oh, why can't we have nice things?
wow. What a year for chaos.
Where did the graphics go? What? I'm
Oh
so
my
confused.
gosh. Brooklyn. Brooklyn just lost the top 4 pick for James Harden.
Yeah.
So I bet you're feeling worse if you're them, but
Hopefully Houston doesn't get number 1, bro.
so who do we got? Washington,
Okay.
Atlanta,
So who's at 8? 8 was the Spurs.
Washington, Atlanta,
via-
Brooklyn, or no, Houston, and
We really fell 3 spots. That was wow.
and San Antonio.
Of
What
course,
the
San
heck?
Antonio's top. Of course, they get the 8th pick and they get a top 4 pick, bro.
Dynasty for San Antonio. Jeez.
All right. So we got Washington. We got San Antonio.
Coin toss did matter, says Taylor Packer. Yeah,
Yup.
I told you guys
Yup.
6 instead of 7, but
Houston. I don't even. Whatever, man. It was brutal. It was brutal. And who was the other one? Atlanta?
yeah.
So these are the top 4 teams. We'll see who gets the number 1 pick. I mean, 7. 7 it's not a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're probably going to see Ricochet and Klingon and definitely Sar go before then. And then you're just sitting there probably hoping for one of Holland, Buzelis, or Castle. Which, I don't hate, Eric. Like,
Yeah.
you get one of those guys at 7. Maybe this could be better than being at 3 and taking Klingon. Like, who knows what this team would have done. In this draft, this result sucks, but it's not something that dooms the Blazers.
Do you think Cronin's
I love
quiet?
how sorry, I love how the least confident just gained a bunch of votes. Anyway, you were saying?
Do you think Cronin is secretly somewhat happy with our picks, meaning that our cap situation is a little better?
I don't know, man.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just a joke.
Yeah, how much are we projected to be over the luxury tax now?
I'll have to look up what the 7th pick is. I mean, it's not that much less.
Smooth moves. It's not. The lottery's not rigged. And then they milk the anticipation with all these commercials. Here, buy a Toyota. I drive a Toyota.
All right, we back.
Yep. All right, so we got 1 to 4. We'll reveal the picks this way. I don't know what happened to my graphics during that. They all disappeared. It was strange.
White Owl Bunt says, how do the Spurs have 2 top 10 picks? One of them's their own. The other is from Toronto for Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah, awful, awful trade. How do you lose the 8th pick for Jakob Poeltl? Man. All right, here we go with the top 4. Good.
As good as we can hope for in that situation, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's good, too. So it's Atlanta or...
Washington.
Wow, Atlanta got the number 1 pick.
Wow, they went from
10th to 1. Wow, their offseason just got really interesting. You had Trae Young rumors if they want to hit the rebuild button now. I mean, you're starting off with the number 1 pick. That's crazy.
They lose the play-in to go into number 1.
Yeah. Eric, we want to go for the play-in next year, all right?
We want to follow the Atlanta Hawks philosophy.
Listen. If this was next year, I'd be very pissed off right now, okay? I'd be very pissed off. But this draft, I don't know. It sucks. But the Blazers, I mean, they could try and package 7 with 14 to move up if they really wanted to. But I think you're looking at, I don't know, the Hawks.
Oh.
What's up?
I don't want to move up.
Yeah, I don't really want to move up either unless it was for SAR, but I don't think that's possible at all, so I don't even want to have that conversation. How do you think this draft falls, Eric? You got Hawks at 1. They have a Kongwu waiting behind Capella. They traded away John Collins. They have Jalen Johnson, who kind of broke out at the 4. I could see Atlanta being one of those teams that would maybe take Risache number 1.
Maybe, but I think if you're going to keep Trae Young, we know he's maybe one of the best all-time at lob passes. I'm taking Sar, and I think Sar can make up for a lot of Trae Young's deficiencies on defense. So if I'm Atlanta right now, I just went from I'm probably rebuilding and trading everyone to maybe I just want to see one more year of if Trae can work with Sar, and maybe I'm definitely moving to DeJounte probably, but I'm gonna look at moving several other players.
Yeah, let's use the let's actually do a little bit of a mock here. We'll toss it up on the screen. I think I have to set the order real quick because I don't think it is updated by now. Man, Atlanta number 1, Wizards number 2, Houston number 3. Seeing Utah at 10 was a heartbreaker, bro.
Yeah.
And then who's 4 again? I'm tripping.
4 was Spurs.
Spurs. So Spurs get 4 and 8. 5 was Detroit again. Imagine being a Detroit fan, bro.
Yeah, worst record 2 years in a row, and you get 5th both years.
Yeah. Charlotte.
There's a lot of people that got screwed, man.
Is 6. Toronto got screwed. They screwed themselves though, because basically when Utah fell to 10, they had to be top 4, or else they were losing their pick. And then you had the Grizzlies at 9. We'll do a little lottery simulation, mock draft here on stream. I don't know exactly how I feel like this draft is going to shake out. And I just want to run through this real quick.
How did the Nets screw themselves by trading for Harden? What do you mean, Aromancer?
All right.
They lost their pick no matter what happened. All right. Everyone, please. I think however you want, but please stop saying it's rigged. It's not rigged.
Why would they rig it for Atlanta to be number 1?
No one cares about Atlanta. If they didn't rig it, I mean, maybe I'll listen to the argument about the frozen envelope for Patrick Ewing in whatever year that was, 85. But it's not rigged, dude. It's not. It's lame, dude. Like, they all have a percentage chance of happening. This is a scenario that could have happened. It's like the last few years, no team has moved up until you get into the higher team. So, like, why would they rig it this year to be chaotic? I don't know.
Yeah, doesn't really make sense. So they rigged the lottery for the Spurs, but now they rigged it for the Hawks. I mean, come on. And especially this year's draft, like, other than Sarr, there's the following tier. Like, I have been debating between 2 and now 3 guys, depending on where Castle measures, for the number 2 spot for a Portland big board, right? Different teams are going to have different big boards based on what they need. My number 2 preference for Portland, I'm debating between Ron Holland, Matas Buzelis, and Stephon Castle. There is a legitimate chance that one of those guys is available at 7 and will be taken by the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
So I honestly am not tripping about this. I understand that it's frustrating, but, you know, we wanted Alex Sarr. But overall, this is not a terrible outcome in this draft. In last year's draft, it would have been, I mean, we got Shaedon Sharpe at 7. You guys love Sharpe, right? So the Blazers can get a talented player there at 7. I'm not worried about that too much.
Wait, just a question throwing this out there. If Clayton fell to 7, would you take him? If those other 3 are off the board?
I wouldn't hate it at 7 like I would have hated it at, like, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Let's run through this mock, Eric. So Sarr, you think, goes number 1 to Atlanta, right? And I'm willing to roll with that. So we got Sarr number 1 to Atlanta. Washington at 2 then. They need a point guard of the future. You got Dillingham, you got Topic. They could go Risache, pair him with Bilal Coulibaly. Maybe move Coulibaly to the 2, bring Jordan Poole off the bench, or just move off Jordan Poole entirely. His contract's going to be hard to move. What do you, it gets really interesting here at 2 with Washington.
Tori, I hate to do this, but I think I have to abstain from this question for a minute.
Okay.
I just,
Chat can't see me shaking my head right now.
You know why, right?
I mean, I assume why, but also I still have no idea why.
I mean, obviously, there's
okay, what do you think they do then? Your own opinion. They trade the pick? Where are they trading the pick, Eric?
No, I don't think they're trading the pick. I just think they have a lot of needs, so I think I don't think they're in a position to take fit either, just like we talked about with the Blazers. So I think they're going to shoot for stars, like a team in their position should. So I'm going to have them take what I perceive to be one of the best players in this draft, and that's probably going to be one of the guards, Topic or Dillingham, in my opinion.
All right. We'll go Topic. Either way, I think you got Houston at 3. They don't really need guards, right? You got San Antonio at 4. They need a guard. I think Topic and Dillingham go 2 and 4. I don't know which order.
For those that don't know, I'm the Wizards in our mock-off season that starts tomorrow, so I'm like, yeah. That's why. I know, but that's why I'm like,
yeah.
There's a lot of people in our mock-off season watching.
Yeah, I mean, you put out your big board, and we put out our big boards. They know our opinion on prospects already. Houston at 3, I think, is the type of team to go for a Risache, big enough to play the 4. They have a lot of players at a lot of positions. but just getting another guy that can shoot, I feel like Ricochet goes 3, and then the Spurs at 4 take Dillingham, which puts Detroit on at 5. You got Buzelis on the board, Holland on the board, Klingon on the board, Castle on the board, right? So Portland at this point would be guaranteed one of Holland, Buzelis, or Castle, which I'm cool with. Cody Williams also. It's not a terrible thing. Detroit at 5, Eric. What do you think they would do here? What do they need? What would they... This is a tough spot. I think Reed Shepherd has a chance to go here. They need shooting.
Yeah. I think Klingon's a horrible fit with Duran. I think Sar would have been a good fit, but so I don't think they can take Klingon. They might be done to take him though. I think this is where you could see Cody Williams. I also think Buzelis, if he works out well for them shooting wise, they might feel confident taking him as well. But man, yeah, I think I kind of have a sneaky suspicion that they'd like Cody Williams, but I'm going to say Reed Shepherd.
Reed Shepherd at 5. I think that's the ceiling for Reed Shepherd, but I think Detroit makes sense because they need some shooting. They have some big playmakers. So Reed Shepherd at 5. That puts Charlotte here at 6, Eric. And I mean, they could go any which way, but I think this is the first landing spot for Klingon. And Mark Williams dealt with a lot of injuries this year. Who knows what his long-term health is. They might elect to just go with Klingon and have that defensive-minded starting big man at 6. But, of course, they could also go with, like, a Ron Holland. Stephon Castle, I think, fits there really well.
Buzelis fits, too.
Buzelis fits, too. Detroit, I'm pretty confident in the top 4 right now, but that could easily change in this draft. The top 4 being Sar at 1, Topicher Dillingham 2, Ricochet 3, and then Topicher Dillingham 4. And then it gets interesting because Detroit and Charlotte ahead of Portland could take Buzelis, Holland, Williams, Castle, Klingon for Charlotte at 6 as possible. And then that's where who knows how the draft breaks. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I mean, I'd be sitting here hoping that the Hornets take Klingon. Let's just say they take Klingon at 6, Eric, because he's getting top 5 buzz.
Okay.
That leaves Portland at 7, and you have your pick of Matas Buzelis, Ron Holland, Cody Williams, Stephon Castle.
Yeah.
Like, Portland is going to be able to choose one of these guys regardless. It's not a terrible position to be in. Like I was saying, if they were picking at 2 or 4, that's guards right now that we have projected there with Topic and Dillingham, with it being Washington and San Antonio. At 3, Ricochet, I'm not high on him. Legitimately, like, I am not too bummed with the 7th pick compared to potentially getting, like, the 3rd pick.
Right.
The 3rd pick would be cool and would be fun to talk about, but the guy a couple of guys I would have been good with the Blazers drafting there will probably be available at 7 here. So it's not terrible. And that's basically what I wanted to illustrate with this mock draft. At 7, go ahead.
Also, real quick, though, if Ricochet somehow fell to 7, like, maybe he might start to fall, maybe, as some of these other prospects move up. I'm not as mad about it taking him 1 or 2 either. You know?
I still wouldn't want him ahead of any of the 4 prospects here.
I agree, but I'm saying I'm a little bit more okay with swinging on him versus other prospects here than I would be up higher. It's not the end of the world either.
Yeah. Somebody in chat says Holland can't shoot. I mean, yes, he struggles with his shot, but he does have legitimate star upside if he can figure out that shot. Defensively, he would be the type of defender we need. Quick first step, finishes well. Like, he has some really good traits, and you just hope you can develop the shot if you take him. Whoever you draft here at 7 is going to have red flags. I would rather draft a guy with upside that has red flags that you can have
some confidence in fixing, which Ron Holland, you can have some confidence that maybe you can turn him into a league average shooter. And if you can, you got yourself a really, really good player with a 7th overall pick. Same thing for Buzelis. I think Buzelis is definitely a better shooter than Holland. Didn't really show it last year. Same thing with Stephon Castle. Cody Williams shot a good percentage but didn't shoot much volume. All 4 of these guys did not shoot the ball well last year. Cody Williams is the only one who shot a good percentage, but he shot extremely low volume. So you're bringing in somebody with question marks with their shot anyways. So out of these 4 guys right now, Eric, who would you pick? In chat, I'll do a chat poll for these 4 guys as well.
I mean, this could change over the next few days as we see measurements. Like you said, certain players will have their opinion for Portland greatly changed here. But I think I'm taking Buzelis.
Yeah, you can easily talk me into that. It's tough. Like, I'm starting to like Castle more and more, but he has to be big enough to play the 3. If Castle's 6'6" with like a 6'11" wingspan, like if he has small forward size, I'm probably taking Castle, Eric.
I don't know if he looks like he's that size though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out soon. So that'll be good. If he's not small forward size, then I'm taking Holland or Buzelis. In that case, I'd probably lean towards Buzelis. So let's do Buzelis at 7 here to Portland. I think that'd be a pretty good pickup there. At 8, you got San Antonio again. They already took their point guard. They can really take whatever, but I do like Stephon Castle in San Antonio, Eric. After taking Dillingham, you're going to need somebody to like be a lockdown perimeter defender. They need that. He's big enough to play the 2, I think, so you could play him next to Dillingham. He can also play make a little bit for Wemby, and Dillingham can certainly play off of them because he can catch and shoot. So I love Castle at 8 for San Antonio. Memphis at 9 gets interesting, Eric, because I think this is a Dalton Connect landing spot. They need shooting. They're ready to try and win again next year because they're going to be healthier. So bringing in a guy that's ready to play right away and can shoot the ball, provide some floor spacing, replace that Luke Kennard role. He is a team option that they'll decline. I actually think Dalton Connect would be the pick here at 9 at this point, Eric. Do you agree with that?
They like their lengthy wings, so I could see Cody Williams here as well. But yeah, I don't have a problem with Connect.
10 is Utah. So Utah gets screwed. Falls 2 spots. This, I think, is either Ron Holland or Cody Williams. Which one do you think makes more sense for them?
I think knowing Ainge, he's probably swinging on upside, and so I think he takes Holland.
All right, ready? I like Holland for them. The Bulls at 11. I don't know what the Bulls are doing, so this is tough.
I say Cody Williams.
12 is OKC.
OKC would love Cody Williams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that we're through the top 10, let me read a couple donations off real quick. So MGJJ123 with a $10 donation. Not the pick we hope for. 7, not sure how this plays out for the Blazers. It'll be fun to hear your thoughts going forward. Appreciate you, MGJJ. And Isaac Figueroa says Blazers have 2 picks. How? Appreciate y'all. One of them is our own pick, and the other one is we've got Golden State's first-round pick in 2024 in the Drew Holiday trade. Boston had just gotten that from the Marcus Smart, Kristaps Porzingis trade from Memphis, and Memphis originally got it for taking on Andre Iguodala's salary when the Warriors were trying to get enough cap space to sign and trade Kevin Durant and get D'Angelo Russell, all that mess. So that's how it went from team to team, and then eventually ended up with us. So we have Golden State's first round pick, which is 14. And then Bruce Davis, member for 18 months, says, "Hi, Tori Eric, shout out, Best Blazers channel." Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, if we weren't going to get Sar, then 7, honestly, is fine. Completely fine. I'll drop a video telling you guys why it's fine. Mr. Negativity is going to tell you guys why not to be negative about being given the 7th pick. Tori, can you explain real quick why you want Castle? Because isn't he a guard? Well, like I said, if he's big enough to play the 3, I want Castle because he projects as a really, really good point of attack on ball defender. We need guys to set that tone, especially just watching Minnesota play the way they're doing. But I also think if his shot can continue to get better, I don't think it's completely broken at all. If he can shoot the ball, he has some sneaky upside, really good feel for the game, crafty. Think he's just quick enough to beat guys off the dribble, but he's going to need that shot to come around to do so. If it doesn't, then he's just a really good connective piece. Really, really good role player. So I just like him, high floor, high ceiling, and somebody that can come in and like set the tone defensively, be good for the locker room, be a guy that has some leadership qualities, be a guy that can help Portland develop a little bit of a culture here. So Castle at 7, I would like, even if he's a guard, I wouldn't hate him. I think he would be the perfect third guard behind any 2 of Sharp, Scoot, or Ant. So, you know, if you take him, maybe you're looking to move off. Maybe you're looking to move off Ant or something. I don't know. So I wouldn't shy away from Castle at all. Shout out to Lucas Tobias, 20 Rand donation, says, "What to expect when you have Billups and Scoot Henderson? Bad luck. Billups is still in Portland. Fire Billups. The possibility to exchange picks 7th and 14th for 2nd because Washington needs several players. Portland needs small forward, power forward, and coach." I don't think Washington does that trade, but if they did, I would only do that trade if Sar's there at 2.
Yeah, agreed. If Sar's not there at 2, I don't want to do that.
Yep.
I'd rather take 2 swings.
Yep. Washington needs a point guard of the future, and they should have 2 options there with Dillingham and Topic to choose between. So, thank you for the donation, though. All right, let's get back to this mock. Let's mock it to Portland's 14th pick. We have the OKC Thunder at 12, Eric. This is where it gets interesting. You kind of have that top tier of players. Maybe Connect's not in that tier for you, but I feel like everybody else that's gone is kind of a little bit of a consensus top 10, but I don't expect it to remain that way. So at 12 here, this is where things get interesting. Who do you think for OKC?
This is an interesting pick. I would say Salon possibly if they didn't already have Ousmane Dieng. So I think they're more in a win now mode than they were in previous years. I feel like they still need more size, but I don't really like reaching on some of the size here. So I think I just take, I can maybe see him taking Filipowski here. No, I wouldn't take him here, but I can maybe see them doing that.
I could see them taking Jalen Tyson here.
Yeah.
Because Tyson, some of his traits do remind me of Jalen Williams' traits coming out of Santa Clara. Just the ability to put the ball on the floor, the ability to pass it, strong body, right? A little bit of shiftiness to his game. And Jalen Williams has turned out phenomenal for OKC, as we've seen. So I could see them taking a chance on another wing in that archetype. But I feel like chat, who do you think they would take? Who'd you say last? Filipowski? I think Filipowski is gonna fall for the reasons that we don't like him. Oh god, this is shaping up for us to take Filipowski at 14. Eric, we're gonna take him at 14. I could see them going Devin Carter. I know they have Case and Wallace, but you can put Case and Wallace and Devin Carter on the floor at the same time defensively. That's kind of scary.
I mean, SJ is a good defender.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I was thinking Collier, but it doesn't make sense when your best player is a point guard that manipulates the ball.
I feel like they trade out of this pick.
Yeah, that's probably.
Like, I feel like Eric, Orlando 18 and additional asset. I don't know what that additional asset is, but there's a perfect guy for Orlando that I'm less and less confident will fall to 18. So let's just swap this, because I don't know who OKC is going to take. OKC could take this guy, but we're going to have Orlando trade up to 12 and take Jared McCain. I've been seeing a lot of Jared McCain, like, late lottery stuff lately. And I think that could also be a guy that OKC takes, so let's go Jared McCain 12. 13 is Sacramento. They could try to draft what they wanted Davion Mitchell to be in Devin Carter.
Yeah.
But since they already have that archetype and struck out on it, who do you think they go with?
I don't think Devin Carter's a bad pick for them.
They're going to lose Monk. They could use, like, a scorer off the bench, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe a long-term starting shooting guard, because they don't really have that. I feel like this is the top of Jacoby Walters' range. Mm-hmm. I actually feel like Sacramento is a good Jacoby spot.
Yeah, that's good.
And that leaves Portland here at 14. You're begging them to take Salon. I'm begging them to take Jalen Tyson. But I wouldn't hate Salon either. Chat, who would you take here at 14 if the draft fell this way? Let me know in the chat. At 7, 40 or 39% of you would take Buzelis, 28% Holland, 14% Castle, 19% Cody Williams. Are you guys not interested in Ware's the motor problems? I wouldn't hate Ware here at 14. It's just when you have Ayton, center isn't really the priority like that. Unless they can play some 4, which I don't think Ware can. I would reach for Chomchi. I don't know. Like, I feel like Jalen Tyson has sneaky upside and a little bit in the way that Jalen Williams had a couple years ago in this range. That's what my gut says. I love Jalen Tyson as a prospect, and that's who I wanted at 14 here. Salon is like the ultimate super raw, many years away, like upside play that has one of the highest ceilings in the draft. But the question is, and the question that we'll continue to debate here, is how likely he is to fulfill some of that upside. He's like kind of the flashy unknown pick, I feel like. But I don't know. I feel like people are discounting Jalen Tyson way too much as an option here at 14 for Portland.
That's got to see his size first.
Yeah, of course. He's listed as 6'7", so you're hoping he's 6'6". And here's the thing. With the Blazers taking Buzelis at 7, that's where you can take a wing. Mm-hmm. That's where you can take a wing. And hope that he develops into your starting 3 or is just a really, really good do-it-all wing off the bench. Because listen, Portland is going to need role players once they're trying to win. Like, they're going to need really good role players. The thing this year's NBA playoffs have proven is that elite role players win you games. That's what's happened with Minnesota. And I feel like Jalen Tyson's going to be one of those elite role players. Buzelis is the upside pick. You're probably going for upside pick at 7. If we take Castle at 7, I'm a little bit more inclined to take Salon at 14. Just because you took a more high floor guy at 7, so you go for upside at 14. But if you go for more upside with a guy like Buzelis at 7, then I like just getting somebody that I'm confident will at least be a role player, at least provide some value at 14.
Yeah, I see what you're thinking.
Tori, what about age? I mean, you could have said that about Jalen Williams 2 years ago. That's the thing, is Tyson's a 3-year college guy, so people look at him and don't think he has upside. But that's how people looked at Jalen Williams a couple years ago, because he was a 3-year college guy. So, and he ended up being one of the highest upside players out of that draft despite his age, right? So you can't just look at age to determine upside. Obviously, age plays a part. Guys that are younger have more time to realize that upside. I just think far too often a big mistake, and if you go back and look at some steals in previous drafts, this mistake has been made quite often, is guys that are a little older slide and aren't looked at as high upside guys because they're a little older, and then they end up becoming all-stars or extremely, extremely good role players.
All right, I'm trying to figure out the that money situation now that we know.
Yeah.
So I can let Randy Powell know.
And it ain't like Jalen Tyson's old. He's 21 on draft night. 21 and a half. I forget how old Jalen Williams was, but...
Salon, I think, it's either him or Chong is the youngest in the draft, and the other one's second youngest.
Ron Holland is just as young as Salon. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But Ron Holland was born July 7th, 2005. Man, 2005 in the NBA, crazy. And then you got Salon was born August 10th, so about a month apart there. Zero G says Lillard was a 4-year guy. Curry was a 3-year guy. Aldridge was a 3-year guy. Was Aldridge a 3-year guy? Roy was a 4-year guy. That's correct. Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of guys in franchise history and NBA history that were multiple-year college players and ended up becoming really good NBA players. So I've never liked shying too much away from a prospect because of age. LaMarcus was a two-year player at Texas. But yeah, C.J. McCollum was in college for a long time and became a pretty good player in a weak draft. So if it's like obvious, like Wemby, Brandon Miller, Scoot, Amen, fine. But when it's not so obvious, I don't really like taking age into account. Tori, should we trade back from 14 to get Ware and maybe someone else? Portland's not going to elect to do that because they, if anything, they're going to trade this pick for a player. I don't think that's something this team would consider. Ashley says, I could see us trading back or out of the first with the number 7 overall pick. I think that would be a mistake. I don't like that at all. I think number 7 is one of the picks that can give you solid value in a weak draft. But who knows what this team does in terms of picks, in terms of everything.
All right.
Yeah, you got the math?
So Someone came in here earlier and said, I bet you feel stupid now that they're only about $3 million over the tax and can easily get under it. All right, so this is they have options on Jabari Walker, Tamani Kamara, and Delano Banton. Do you think they are going to keep all three?
I think they keep 2 of the 3.
So you think they'd let Jabari walk?
Or
one of Banton or...
I think it's possible.
Okay.
They let Jabari walk.
All right. Well, if they keep all 3, it's they're $7,085,833 over the tax. So they're still $7 million away, not easily. So even if they cut one of them, or all 3 of them, they're still over the tax.
Yeah.
By
like $5 million.
Barely. But yeah, if you cut Banton, you can take about $190,000 off of that, or $1.9 million. Sorry. And so you're a little over $5 million over the tax. If you want to talk about it being easy, they can't just cut someone. I guess they could stretch Malcolm Brogdon or something like that and get way under. But there's not an easy solution without a trade.
Yeah, either way, they still have to trade Robert Williams, Matisse Thybulle, Malcolm Brogdon, or Jeremy Grant and save a sizable amount of salary. It is definitely easier now, but also it's like that type of comment is just ridiculous because when we talk about the Blazers being projected $9 million over the luxury tax, we've always said that is dependent upon where their picks end up. So their pick ended up falling 3 spots, so they are obviously going to save a little bit of money with that. And maybe now it makes even more sense for them to trade 14 for a future pick, which I think is very possible, Eric, because they save that money. They don't have to make any tough decisions, and this franchise, unfortunately, has avoided making tough decisions on some guys in the past. They should have let Matisse Thybulle walk. Should have never traded for him in the first place. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how they handle the tax situation. That is definitely one of the storylines to watch.
Bruce asked if we have any second-round picks. The Blazers have 34 and 40, so 2 pretty high second-round picks as well.
Dre says, this is the worst draft since the creation of the NBA. Bunch of nobodies and role players, no star power, no exciting players. That's what people said in 2013 when Giannis was there at 15 and Gobert was there in the 20s. And I think this lottery is better than that year's lottery. I think people are getting too dramatic when criticizing this draft class. It's definitely not a good draft class. Okay, don't get me wrong. But it's not the worst draft since the creation of the NBA with a bunch of nobodies. I saw somebody the other day say, oh, literally this draft is just filled with only second-round picks, second-round value players. And it's like, no, it's not that bad. Like, why are we being so dramatic?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it doesn't have the hype of a number 1 pick, and that's what happens every single time. There's not a hyped number 1 pick that's a for sure thing. People think it's a bad draft overall. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, this draft could be great. It could be bad. But even in the worst drafts, outside of maybe one draft around like the Kwame Brown draft, I think it was, whatever year that was, 2000 or something. Mm-hmm. Outside of that draft, like there are basically at least an all-star or 2 in every draft. A lot of those drafts, it's not even necessarily a top pick. It's further down in the sometimes in the second round, sometimes mid to late first. And so there are going to be a couple of good players from this. And with it being a weak draft, like everyone's perceiving, it means that a lot of players are rated closely together. So having a pick at 7 and 14, in my opinion, gives you a shot at potentially, when you redraft this, a much bigger shot at having a top 5 in a redraft type player than normal draft would, that has like, Chet and Jabari Smith and Paul Banchero. Those guys are all going to be high up in a redraft, right? Whereas in this draft, people we haven't even mentioned as lottery picks yet, like your guy Jalen Tyson. He could be the Jalen Williams of this draft, like you mentioned, and then we're talking about it much differently. So, like, I don't like to say that. No, most of the people that say that are people that don't follow the draft either and don't scout very much, and that's because they just hear that from other people and just regurgitate it. So I don't like to say that, and it seems like an excuse for GMs not making the right picks, because there is opportunity here for the Blazers to take a huge step with these 2 picks.
And to his credit, for once, that's what Joe Cronin said.
Yep.
And I fully agree with it. You got an opportunity to get a special player at 7. Who knows who that guy is? The Blazers could definitely mess up that pick and pick the wrong guy. But it's going to be fascinating to see, because this is a pick that truly tests this front office's ability to draft, Eric. At 7, they took Sharp. I mean, they could have taken some other guys, but he was maybe the most obvious choice there if you're going for upside, which makes sense at 7. And then last year, at 3, you have Scoot Henderson. Obvious pick. They messed up the 23rd pick when they took Chris Murray, in my opinion. But that was the 23rd pick, right? It wasn't a lottery pick. This 7th pick, and if they draft a 14 as well, is going to be a true test of the Blazers' ability to draft.
Yeah. And for the record, this is why I don't want them to take like Klingon or Edey or Filipowski or whatever. Because best case scenario, you kind of know what those players are, right? And that's okay. Like, if you take Klingon and you get what you hope to get out of him, fine. That's okay. But in my opinion, it's okay to fail if you take shots for home runs. Okay? It's okay to strike out sometimes. Because if you swing for the fences, I mean, it's probably less than 50% that you're going to get a star at 7, right? Yeah. Much less than 50%, right? So, like, it could be, they're picking between 4 guys, and they pick one person because they think Buzelis has more upside than Holland, and then Holland ends up better than Buzelis. I'm not going to kill them for that decision because I could justify it. So, like, we're talking about percentages of these people being great, but it's more likely that the pick doesn't hit than it does. So, like, I don't think it's necessarily a case where it's a horrible pick. I just think sometimes you're going to miss on picks. And, Cronin's done a pretty good job at drafting, I think. That's, like, you can say he picked the obvious choices, which is mostly correct. But, like, for the most part, I think he's gotten the draft, at least the lottery picks, right. And so I think you've got to trust in his ability to maybe do that again. But at some point he's going to miss on a lottery pick, So, like, it's just inevitable, like everyone does.
Yeah. In my opinion, it makes sense to swing for upside with one of these picks and then maybe take somebody a little bit safer, Eric. I don't know how I feel about them just purely swinging for upside with both picks and there being a legitimate chance that they get nothing out of this draft, Like, at 7, you get a guy like Buzelis, who I think is very high upside, is a 6'10" guy that can handle the ball. And then it makes sense to go for a role player at 14. Of course, you still want upside, but that's where it's like, that's why I like Jalen Tyson, because I think he has sneaky upside while having a high floor at the same time, right? So it's more so that type of prospect I like better at 14 if you swing for upside at 7. If you take somebody that's higher floor at 7 like a Stephon Castle, then you can swing for more upside at 14. That's how I'm viewing these two picks. Of course, the Blazers, we've heard rumblings that they've already determined they're going to trade the 14th pick, so we'll see, but that could be a pick that ends up panning out, man. I guarantee you there's going to be a really good role player on the board at 14. It's just obviously tough to know who exactly that's going to be.
Yep. Sorry, hypothetical here. If the Blazers were to, say, acquire the 5th pick in this draft, how would you feel and what would you do, and without giving up their picks?
I assume you mean trading Jeremy Grant back to Detroit?
Not quite, but
How
yeah.
would they get the 5th pick without trading their picks?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's another player we could trade Detroit. I don't know.
Who else? Who else would Detroit trade the 5th pick for on our team?
I don't know.
We're trading Matisse Thybulle for the 5th pick?
I'm just throwing this out there, okay? I'm just throwing it out there.
They ain't trading the 5th pick for Brogdon. Like, what are we... Ant? Ant's the only other guy.
I'm just throwing this out there. What would you feel if we did something like that?
I mean, so you're taking like Holland and Booz Ellis? Like,
I don't know. Man.
I like it if we can trade up for Sarr afterwards. But without doing that, I don't know. It feels like a little bit of overkill. Mm. Also, I don't think Detroit's trading the 5th pick for anybody on our roster.
Yeah.
Unless it's maybe Anthony Simons. I could see them trading the 5th pick for Anthony Simons. They need shooting. They maybe want to get better because the lottery isn't working out for them, considering they keep getting 5th. So... I don't know. Would you trade Simons for Castle, Eric?
I mean, I wouldn't, because I love Anthony and I think he's our best guard right now. But yeah, I mean, what I want isn't necessarily what's going to happen. But yeah,
I mean, Castle is a really good third guard. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't like it either. I don't know how to feel about that. But basically, this organization needs to have a vision for how they want to construct their roster. They need to have a plan. And if their plan is, we're going to build around Sharp and Scoot, and then they trade Anthony Simons for the right to draft Stephon Castle to be a third guard, maybe start next to him, but like complement Scoot and Sharp, then I don't have that much of an issue with it, because at least they made a move that makes sense with what they want to do in terms of their direction. Mm-hmm. Right? Even if I might not be the biggest fan of that, like, at least it's something where it's like, okay, they chose what they want to do, and they're trying to do that. It's a very low bar.
But then we have worse shooting than Detroit and Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, you need shooting at forward positions. You hope Tumani takes a step. You hope Scoot takes a step. You hope Ayton's not taking a step. Never mind.
You just hope Ayton's close to what he wants to do.
I think Castle ultimately long term will be a guy that's like an average 3-point shooter. I don't think his shot's completely broken. I think some of it is confidence. I think some of it is he had a hitch early in the year. He went on a stretch there where he shot the 3-ball well in January, struggled down the stretch in March, but he's just a winning player. Like, if we're going to have struggle shooting the ball, at least have some defense, at least have some winning guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we don't have enough winning players. And it's like, if we're going to ever become like a good defense, we need guys like a Stephon Castle. We need guys like a Tumani Kamara, right? So That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Anything else for this lottery live stream, Eric?
Want to thank everyone for tuning in. Wasn't the results we were hoping for, but I think it's okay. Outside of getting number one, I don't think it's too bad. I mean, obviously the coin flip, losing that, it might be the difference between getting one of those guys we want and not, or having our pick between several of them and only getting whoever falls. So that's kind of disappointing. But yeah, I don't think it's like the end of the world or anything.
Yep. It's not the end of the world. It sucks, but it is what it is. If we get better luck next year, because we got bad luck this year, if it's just an every year type of thing, then I'll take it.
Yeah.
Then I'm fine with that. But yeah, it sucks struggling all season just to have the 7th pick while a team that was in the play-in has the 1st pick.
Yeah, the Spurs are set up nicely right now, man.
Yeah, the Spurs are going to be in a good spot, man.
They're almost guaranteed to get one of the 2-point guards at 4. I mean, I guess the Rockets could take one, but I don't know, it'd be kind of weird. And then BPA at 8, or they could take BPA at 4 and hope one of Shepard, Dillingham, or even Collier or something. I don't think that would be bad either. So.
Yeah.
Because Dillingham, if he doesn't go 4, he might fall to them at 8.
Yeah. Because I still think he makes sense in Detroit, despite Pistons fans telling me he doesn't. Charlotte, why would... I don't know. They passed on Scoot. Maybe it was just because they like Brandon Miller more, but would they pair Dillingham with LaMelo Ball? That seems like a problem. And then the Blazers, of course, have guards. So, yeah, that's interesting.
I think maybe they take Buzelis or Holland and then just hope one of them comes. But, man, I don't know if Dillingham would like that because he wants to be a Spur so bad, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I truly think it just makes perfect sense for it to be Topic and Dillingham at 2 and 4 and Sarr at 1, and then the Rockets, maybe they don't take Ricochet, but that's like the wild card, and I would be hoping that they take Ricochet. Mm-hmm. And then you're hoping that Charlotte takes Klingon at 6. Yeah, or Rockets, I mean, they got Sengun, so...
He was hurt, and they were playing Landale a lot last year. Towards the end, I don't know.
Yeah, you just hope out of Detroit, Charlotte, and Rocket, you hope one goes Klingon, one goes Ricochet, and that leaves you with a bunch of different guys on the board that I like. Holland, Buzelis, Castle, Cody Williams. So, anyway, not the worst result in the world. We'll have a live stream tomorrow talking about draft combine measurements. Hopefully we get some between now and then. We'll be going live 9:30 p.m. Pacific time, 12:30 a.m. Eastern if you're on the East Coast. And we'll talk about measurements, combine stuff, whatever. If we get a lot of measurements, me and Eric may have an updated big board for you guys. Eric, I just, you're muted.
I updated mine last night.
Yeah. But if we get measurements like today or tomorrow, we should definitely update it because that's going to be the biggest thing in terms of big boards is seeing what measurements are. That's going to affect where I have some guys slotted. So make sure you tune in for tomorrow's stream talking draft. That should be fun. And yeah. And our mock off season starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
started tonight.
Just joining WTF 7th. Okay, make some lemonade. Yeah, I mean, this pick will come down to if the Blazers draft the right guy or the wrong guy. It's on them. It's on their scouting department. Okay? the best organizations will get a guy like a Jamal Murray in this pick. Then again, Golden State was looked at as one of the best organizations, and Kuminga hasn't really panned out so much, but you're going to be able to get a pick.
At the end of last season.
Yeah. So, you know, I like Kuminga now. Maybe he needs a better spot than Golden State. But this offseason should still be a lot of fun. The Blazers have a lot of moves to potentially make, and, you know, it's first offseason of a rebuild. Sucks that they got the 7th pick. Sucks that, like, the end of the year, you know, them passing San Antonio and then tying with Charlotte didn't end up meaning anything. But the difference between 3 and 7 might not mean anything depending on who you want. That could be available there at 7, so looking forward to talking draft, and appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to all the channel members, and that's a wrap for yet another lottery live stream. We're 1 for 3, Eric. 1 for 3 on moving up, and that was last year to draft Dame's replacement. So,
well, next year's the year, so let's go next year. Right?
Yeah. Ready for another year of tanking, just for another lottery live stream next year, right? But we'll have off-season content for you guys. Free agency live stream, draft live stream, all that good stuff. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us. That's a wrap. We're out of here. We'll catch you tomorrow night on that live stream. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.